Let's move on to some other issues now. My next guest lives in the UK but is here in Australia to talk all things net zero and energy security. Dr. Benny Peiser is a climate expert and head of the British think tank, the Global Warming Policy Foundation. Benny, welcome back to Credlin. Great to have you here in Australia. This week, Russia cut off gas to Poland and Bulgaria. The fear now is other European countries like Germany could be next. How big an impact will this have on European energy security, and why in Australia are we still obsessing about net zero?
Well, that's a good question. I think most Australians are not aware just what a disastrous energy crisis we're having in Europe. Energy bills have doubled in the last 12 months and are threatening to treble. A quarter of UK households won't be able to afford paying their bills. We face the worst energy crisis since World War II, and it's only getting worse as the war in the Ukraine intensifies. So people in Australia should be very aware of what happens if you are not careful with your energy policy.
All right, well, what's the fallout going to be, Dr. Peiser, in Europe? Are we going to see coal, oil, perhaps gas get revitalised? More, I know some was announced recently, but more nuclear energy for Europe?
Yeah, well, that will take time. In the meantime, the government in Britain has called on the coal companies to continue burning coal. They want to extend coal much longer than they anticipated. They are actually on the verge of approving the first new coal mine in Britain in 30 years. Now, and other countries in Europe are going back to burning coal because gas is 10 times more expensive in Europe than it's in the US, and about 5 times more expensive than in Australia. So gas is very expensive now, and there's a coal boom, not just in Europe, but around the world, because that is the most secure and most affordable form of energy. And, you know, when push comes to shove, then energy security tops everything.
Yeah, and I remind Australians, we've sent weapons to Ukraine, but just the other day we sent 70,000 tonnes of our thermal coal for exactly that point. Now, you can't be blind to miss that there's an Australian election underway. One of the MPs, an LNP Senator, former Energy Minister Matt Canavan, he's come under fire, Benny Peiser, from all quarters, including his own party, because he said net zero is dead. But surely what you've just spoken about, the energy crisis in Europe, bears his comments out. So what lessons do we need to know? What do voters need to know between now and when they cast their ballot on the 21st of May?
Well, I think if I understood your MP correctly, what he was saying is, if you look around the world, net zero is dead. You just need to look at what Joe Biden does in the US. He's begging oil and gas companies to drill more, to get more oil and gas out of the ground. His approval ratings are very low because energy prices are rising. I think that is what the MP was trying to tell the Australians, that around the world, energy cost, energy affordability and reliability is now the top priority for most countries.
All right, what about this week in Australia? The federal government, the Prime Minister, gave one of our billionaires $45 million of their money for green hydrogen. Is that a good use of our money? Is it energy security or not?
Well, I'm afraid governments around the world are wasting a lot of money on pet projects. We've seen it for the last 20, 30 years. I think at some point, governments will have to focus on what is actually helping consumers, families, households more directly. All of these additional costs are costing taxpayers, are costing bill payers. So around the world, I'm pretty sure the war in Ukraine is essentially changing 20, 30 years of utopian, green, wishful thinking.
Let's hope it is. Let's hope it is. Dr. Benny Peiser, appreciate your time. I know your tour in Australia is very well attended and popular, and I appreciate you being with us on Credlin tonight.